Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. We're Group 1 and we're here to present our report and our topic, which is special laws in relation to specialized crime investigation, RA 10883 and PD 1612. These reports examine Republic Act number 10883 or the Anti-Carnapping Acts of 2016 and Presidential Decree number 1612 or the Anti-Fencing Law, focusing on their roles in specialized crime investigation. Both laws address distinct but interconnected aspects of criminal activity aiming to deter, prosecute offenders involved in vehicle theft and the subsequent sale of stolen goods.
When we say RA 10883 or the new Anti-Carnapping Act of 2016 provides that when carnapping is committed without violence against or intimidation of person or force upon things, that person found guilty thereof shall, regardless of the value of the motor vehicle taken, be punished by imprisonment for not less than 20 years and 1 day, but not more than 30 years. The penalties with violence of carnapping is imprisonment for not less than 30 years and 1 day, but not more than 40 years. The penalty of concealment of carnapping is imprisonment of 6 years up to 12 years and fine equal to the amount of acquisition cost of the motor vehicle.
Related acts, RA 10883 also criminalize several acts related to carnapping, aiming to disrupt the illegal trade of stolen vehicle and parts, defacing, tampering with serial numbers. This is so unlawful to deface or tamper with the original or registered serial numbers of motor vehicles engine blocks and chassis. Identity transfer. It is also to transfer the chassis number, engine number, and plate number of a vehicle declared total wreck or beyond economic repair to another vehicle.
Good day everyone. This is my explanation about the transfer of vehicle plates and the sale of second-hand spare and kambal or double registration. Number 1. The transfer of vehicle plates in government by specific regulations that aim to ensure the proper identification and registration of vehicles. In many jurisdictions, including the Philippines under the Land Transportation Office or LTO, it is considered unlawful for any individual office or entity to transfer or use a vehicle plates from one vehicle to another without obtaining the necessary authorization from the LTO. Number 2. The sale of second-hand spare parts, particularly those taken from carnap stolen vehicles, is a serious legal issue that involves various law and regulation aimed at preventing the trafficking of stolen goods. Number 3. Kambal or double registration refers to unlawful act of registering a vehicle more than once under different identities, or creating a false entry in the registry of motor vehicles. This practice is legal and can involve encoding non-existing vehicles or altering the identity of existing vehicles without proper documentation or history.
Registration requirements. According to Republic Act 4136, state that all motor vehicle owners required to register their vehicle with the Land Transportation Office. Law enforcement and motor vehicle owners alike should be familiar with the registration process to ensure compliance and avoid penalties. This Republic Act 4136 mandates all motor vehicle owners in the Philippines to register their vehicle with the Land Transportation Office. This ensure proper documentation and help authorities to track the vehicle. And at the same time, to avoid the involvement of criminality. For example, I have a motorcycle and I don't want to involve any criminal case. That's why we should register our motor vehicle because this is a necessary to all of us. Number 1. Original registration. Anyone who build a new vehicle, rebuild one, or buy a used one must be get a police clearance from the PNP within 1 week. This clearance is needed before they can register the vehicle with the Land Transportation Office or LTO. Basically, it is a police check to ensure the vehicle is it not stolen or illegally obtained before it's officially registered. Based that statement, before we register our vehicle, a police clearance from the PNP is required to verify that our vehicle is not stolen or our vehicle used in criminal activity. This clearance must be obtained within 1 week or acquiring the vehicle. It's a security measure necessary before LTO registration. And having a motorcycle, I need to comply all requirements within 1 week or 7 days to avoid interruption while driving or using a motorcycle.
Permanent Registry of motor vehicle engines, engines block, and chassis. The Land Transportation Commission keeps a permanent registry that tracks motor vehicle engines, engine blocks, and chassis. This registry records the unique identification numbers such as engine and chassis numbers, along with detailed information about the vehicle and its owners. It includes the names and address of both current and previous owners. The purpose of this registry is to ensure proper identification, prevent fraud or theft, and maintain an accurate record of vehicle ownership and history. This system helps in tracking vehicles for legal, regulatory, and administrative purposes. Registration of sale, transfer, conveyance. Motor vehicle transactions such as transferring ownership, replacing or substituting parts like engines block, or chassis must be registered with the Land Transportation Office within 20 working days. If these transactions are not registered within this period, the vehicle or its part may be presumed to have been obtained illegally, such as through theft or smuggling. As a result, the vehicle can be confiscated by the government. This rule ensures that all vehicles and their components are properly documented and legally traceable.
Clearance and permit for assembly or rebuilding. To assemble or rebuild a new motor vehicle, a person must get a clearance certificate from the Philippine National Police. Before applying, they need to provide a sworn statement that include details about the vehicle engine, chassis, and body, as well as list of spare parts and their sources. This ensures that the assembly or rebuilding process is legal or properly documented. Clearance for shipment of motor vehicles. The clearance for the shipment of motor vehicles is a requirement set by the Philippine Port Authority. This is the PPA. Before any motor vehicle can be loaded into a ro-ro ferry, boat, or ship for interland or international transport, the PPA must submit a report for the Philippine National Police, a PNP, within 7 days of boarding. This process ensures that the vehicle being transported are properly documented and comply with regulations. However, this requirement does not apply to cargo trucks, into LTFRB accredited public utility vehicles, and vehicles carrying food and dry goods.
Good day everyone, my name is Irvin Ramirez from BS Criminology 3 Alpha. Our topic for today is the Presidential Decree number 1612. The Presidential Decree number 1612, also known as Anti-Fencing Law, enacted in 1979, criminalizes the buying, selling, or possession of stolen goods. It makes it illegal to deal in stolen property and imposes penalties, including imprisonment, on those involved. The law presumes that anyone who knowingly buys or possesses stolen goods is guilty of fencing. The aim of this law is to reduce the market for stolen goods and deter theft in the Philippines.
What is the term fencing? According to Prudential Decree number 1612, the Anti-Fencing Law of 1979, the solution process, the provide context, defines fencing as the act of any person who with intent to gain for himself or another, buys, receives, possesses, keeps, acquires, cancels, sells, disposes of, or buy and sells any article, item, object, or anything of value that they know or should know was derived from the proceeds of robbery or theft. The definition also includes any person, firm, association, corporation, partnership, or other organization that commits this act. Example, a person buy a stolen television from a thief, knowing it is stolen to resell it for profit. This is considered fencing. Another one example, a phone shop owner knowingly buys stolen heavily from multiple individuals. This is also fencing, as the phone shop owner is aware of the items, origins, and profits from their sale. Lastly, an individual finds a valuable painting that was stolen and sells it without investigating its ownership. If the individual should have known that the painting was stolen, it was advertised as stolen, this would also be considered fencing. The answer is, fencing is the act of any person who with intent to gain for himself or another deals in any article, item, object, or anything of value derived from the proceed of robbery or theft, knowing or having reason to know of its origin. This includes any person, firm, association, corporation, partnership, or other organization that commit this act. The key concept or tips is the key element of fencing is knowledge or reason to know that the goods are stolen.
The liability of official or juridical person can be criminal, civil, or administrative. A juridical person is an entity with right personality. Here are some examples of liability for official of juridical person. First is criminal liability. A juridical person can be held criminally liable for criminal offenses committed by an official or employee if the offense was committed for the benefit of the juridical person. The juridical person can also be held liable if the official had authority to take decision or exercise control on behalf of juridical person. And next is sanction. Sanction for a juridical person can include closing down an entity or
withdrawal of certain advantage, and last, attribution, the level of authority of the person whose conduct triggers liability can be flexible, and some who doesn't have the highest level of managerial authority. And next topic is presumption of fencing. Presumption of fencing is a legal principle of the Philippines that states that the mere possession of an item that was stolen or robbed is prima facie evidence of fencing. This presumption is found in Section 5 of Presidential Decree Number 1612, also known as the Anti-Fencing Law of 1979. This law defines fencing as the act of buying, receiving, possessing, keeping, acquiring, concealing, selling, or disposing of an item that was stolen or robbed. The law also defines an unlicensed dealer as anyone who buys and sells use items without government license. The penalties for fencing are severe and depend on the value of the property involved. For example, if the value of the property is more than 12,000 pesos but less than 22,000 pesos, the penalty is prison major.
Implementing rules and regulations for Section 6 of Presidential Decree Number 1612 or Anti-Fencing Law are issued by relevant agencies to ensure the law is effectively enforced. These rules provide clear guidelines for detecting, investigating, and prosecuting violations related to the buying, selling, or possession of stolen goods. They help standardize procedures, ensure fairness, and support victims in recovering stolen property, ultimately aiming to prevent fencing activities and protect public welfare. Second-hand can become suspicious if there is a reason to believe they were stolen or unlawfully acquired. For example, if a second-hand item is sold at a reasonably low price without proper documentation of ownership, there's a possible that this item is stolen. In Presidential Decree Number 1612, unlicensed dealers or suppliers who engage in the trade of second-hand articles or other goods without proper documentation or legal standing may face criminal charge if they are found to be handling stolen goods. These individuals are at risk of being prosecuted for fencing, which involves the sale or possession of stolen property and can face severe penalties under the law. A store is any place or business where goods, including second-hand articles, are sold. A store can be involved in the illegal trade of stolen goods or fencing and can face severe penalties if found guilty. Store owners and operators must exercise due diligence by ensuring the goods they sell are lawfully obtained, maintaining proper records, and ensuring they have the necessary licenses to operate. Buy and sell refers to the buying and reselling of goods, particularly second-hand items. The law targets fencing or the buying and selling of stolen goods and imposes penalties on those involved in such illegal activities. Sellers and buyers engaged in the buy and sell of second-hand articles must ensure that the goods are lawfully acquired and documented to avoid legal consequences. Unlicensed dealers and improper documentation increase the risk of being implicated in the crime of fencing. A station commander is the head of a local police station responsible for enforcing the law against fencing, which involves the buying, selling, or possession of stolen goods. The station commander oversees investigations, coordinates operations to apprehend individuals engaged in fencing, and ensures the proper seizure of stolen property. They are tasked with monitoring businesses, particularly those dealing in second-hand goods, to prevent the illegal trade of stolen items.
Duty to procure clearance or permit is the legal obligation for individuals or entities to obtain necessary authorization from relevant authorities before undertaking certain activities. This duty aims to ensure public safety, maintain order, and protect the environment. Non-compliance can result in criminal, civil, or administrative penalties. This duty is essential for regulating activities that may pose risk to public welfare or violate laws. It requires individuals and organizations to seek approval from appropriate authorities, allowing for oversight and adherence to safety, standard, and legal requirements.
Let me give also a scenario on anti-fencing law. Number one scenario was selling stolen goods. An individual buys a stolen motorcycle at a significantly reduced price, knowing it's likely stolen, and then resell it for profit. This is a clear case of fencing under PD 1612. The investigation would involve tracing the motorcycle's ownership, history, and establishing the seller's knowledge of its stolen status. That's the first scenario. The second scenario was the possession of stolen property. A person is found in the possession of several expensive electronics that were reported stolen in a recent robbery. Even if they claimed they didn't know the items were stolen, the presumption of guilt under PD 1612 would apply, and they would need to prove their innocence. The investigation would focus on linking the items to the robbery and establishing the individual's knowledge of lack thereof. And the last scenario was operating a fencing business. An individual runs a pawn shop or repair shop that knowingly accept stolen goods. Often offering significant low price, this would constitute a more serious offense under PD 1612, potentially involving charge of operating a fencing business. The investigation would likely involve surveillance undercover operation and gathering evidence of repeated transactions involving stolen goods. That would the end of our report. Thank you so much.